What's up, everybody? It's DAYMOND John here, the People's Shark, and I want to talk to you about how to turn social media into an actual business. Now, I'm going to give you 4 tips right now on how to build a social media empire and stop losing out on leads and sales. And if you're really serious about taking your social media growth to the next level, you're going to want to click the link to my brand new Mastering Social Media course, and we are going to get started. All right, now I got a piece of paper here and I'm gonna go over because I wanna make sure that all my facts are straight, but I'm gonna elaborate on them, right? So here's some good stats, right? 71% of small to mid-sized businesses use social media to market themselves, and of those who do, 52% post at least daily. Now you have to be consistent with social media, and I'll explain why. Right? Because there's a lot of stuff going on out there in the world. And there's a lot of information being thrown around, and you want to make sure that people are going back and back to you constantly. Because what you have to do is think about your customer as somebody who is constantly being pulled on from other people. And if you are giving information every single day, then you are making sure you're staying at the top of their list. And I want to make sure that you understand when you give this information you post daily, it should not all be sell, 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 please buy, please buy, please buy, please buy. People get what they call buyer's fatigue. It's kind of like when you go by a store and every time you pass there's that person. Can I talk to you for a second? I have a flyer, do this, do that. Now, if you walk by and they kind of had an information booth there and they say, we want to try to share with you some tips that we've learned on how to make you healthier, or better ways to cook, or great experiences in this town and places to go, and it's always informative. Well, when you go someplace and people are asking you about something, you go, you know that store I pass by all the time? They always really got great information out there. That's kind of why you want to be that person always providing a lot of information online and social media, and posting things that are really consistent with your brand and making people feel good. Now, if you say, well, I don't have a lot to post, well, then you got to look inside of yourself and say, well, maybe you don't have enough information and maybe you don't have enough value. And what do you do there? Then you go back and educate yourself even more to be that one who comes out and brings value to your customer's life. I'll give you an example. If Lululemon just said, keep buying our clothing, that's not going to work. But if Lululemon is showing you yoga influencers or people who are doing great things, or new positions in yoga, or things that are going to test your limitations on how to work out, that's not saying buy Lululemon. That's just saying here are ways that we are going to inform you and give you more tips in your life. All right, now I'm going to give you another point right here. Answering a complaint on social media can increase customer advocacy by 25%. What do you mean answering a complaint? I've met so many people that have said, I hate when people complain. Well, if they're complaining, remember, they're actually giving you an investment. Think about the times that you have complained to a brand or to a person. You didn't have to complain at all. You can just say, I'm never dealing with that brand again. Didn't like the experience, you walk away, right? Well, that's not gonna serve either one of you, right? Because now you're gonna go to another brand or another place or another service or another person, and you may have problems, right? Why don't you give that person the ability and the chance to correct that problem? Now, let's look at the brand. It's not gonna serve you either if you go, forget that person. Because if that person has that complaint, how do you know everybody else doesn't have that complaint? They're investing in you. I love telling the story about that ketchup bottle company where, you kept trying to hit the 57 all the time. That's how you got it out. Or maybe you put water in the bottle and you loosen it up and that's how you got it out. And what that company did is they went around to a lot of people's houses and they asked, can we see your refrigerator? I'm going to give you a couple of dollars. They go in, they notice that most of the bottles were upside down in the refrigerator. Hence, what did they do? Create plastic bottles that the base of the top is almost as large as the bottom, and now you can rest it upside down. Increase their business massively. Remember, they are investing in you when they complain. You have to take that information in. Today with social media, we have what we call focus groups, right? Before you had to find people, put them in a room and give them some money and ask what they think. Now, you just hashtag. And people are going to say what they're saying about you or your brand, whether they like you or not, because if you hashtag it, that doesn't mean you're getting everybody who loves your brand. That means you're getting everybody who is in touch with your brand. So make sure you value customer complaints, and then after that, as the stat says here, 25% become your biggest advocates. Why? Because they go out there and they feel special, right? When you sit there and complain to somebody and ask them to fix it, if they fix it, you felt like you are special, and you go out and tell people, I don't know about you, but when I call this place and I told them what was going on, I got a gift certificate and they moved me up, or they took it back, they took the product back and they made it better. And you know what? Next year, they're probably even thinking about that color or that sizing. I'm special, I'm important. Remember the old saying, Mary Kay says, think about people like everybody's walking around with an invisible sign saying, make me feel important. You know you want to feel important as well. All right, next point, next tip, make your content representative of your brand. Everything you post represents your brand. Stay true to your values. I post about business and Shark Tank, but I also post about family, balance, life, and laughter. It's all part of it, right? You have to make sure that you are absolutely owning everything and consistent. Now, everybody wants to say, oh, my brand, and you act like your brand is so perfect. Your brand does not have to be perfect. You really need to put yourself in 2 to 5 words and be consistent with your brand. I don't care. One of my favorite rappers' name is Old Dirty Bastard, and he was an old dirty bastard. Simple as that, he owned it. Remember, everybody else is taken. So your brand is a representation of you, as well as the people that work at your brand. If you work someplace, or your employees are working someplace and they are talking about how miserable they are, or they don't like these politics and this and that, people are thinking that probably is your brand too. So be very careful. My mother used to always say, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. But also show people the inner parts of your brand. People want to know who you are behind the brand. You know, a lot of the time when people buy things, they want to know, what are you doing for other people out there? I'm supporting you, or you supporting other people? That's why Bombas Socks does so well, because we know that every time that, we sell somebody something, we're going to give a pair away to the homeless. And people love to do that. They love to brag about those things. You know, I love to talk about my life, my behind the scenes life, because if you see me as this guy on Shark Tank, you want to know, who do I love? How do I get to separate work from my personal life? Who else am I around? Am I around diversified thinking people diversify when it comes to age? What are my passions? Well, I love to save animals, and I want to make sure that I share those things with people. So people really invest in it because they look at you as the brand yourself. Remember, you are always the brand. All right. Next one. This is the final one, and hopefully you're going to learn from it. I think I've given you a good amount of information. Promote your product services in a unique way. 79% of people say that user-generated content on social media significantly, you know me, good old dyslexia. See, I own it, right? Significantly impacts their purchases and decisions. All right, so what do we mean? Of course, user-generated content means somebody who got your product, basically testimonies, right? I'm going to go back to Bombas for a second, because we don't sit there and highlight the people that are in challenged areas, because why try to make a profit off of those who we are making sure that we give to? But the user-generated content about people saying, I didn't just buy a pair of Bombas for myself. I bought it for all my friends for a gift because I want to get them into giving, or they're already into giving, and I want them to feel good about what they received. That is user-generated content. People who take your product and say, I love it, and I'm ready to wave the flag. When FUBU first came out, I got to tell you, the first places that we sold were Japan and Seattle, Washington. Now, the internet wasn't out at that time, but if people would have thought, well, that's a hip-hop brand, how dare the skateboarders in Seattle, Washington, and kids in Japan, the Japanese kids are wearing it. That's not keeping it real. No, it is keeping it real, because I never thought of those people as people who love this amazing music that was coming out of the Bronx called hip-hop and related to it. And that expanded my mind, and we were all about being inclusive. That user-generated content wasn't online anywhere, but it was in the skateboard parks in Seattle, Washington. It was when those kids, those Japanese kids who would wear New York Knicks jerseys and backwards New York Yankees hats and start breakdancing because they were trying to imitate young African American breakdancers. So when people love your brand, you're going to see often that people will interpret it in so many different ways than you've ever expected. And if you really are an inclusive business that wants to bring value to people, you're going to learn from them and you're going to attract other people like that. And that is from user generated content. That is somebody echoing and putting a bullhorn on what you're doing and getting your information out to all the other people in the world and saying, this is somebody that I support and I believe that you should support them too. So listen, I got tips for days about how you can use and grow your social media into a business and a brand, but I can't possibly pack them all into this video. So to learn how I took my brand to the next level on social media and how you can do it as well, click the link in the description for my Mastering Social Media course. Peace. Hey, you. Are you subscribed to make sure that you see all these videos with free advice, chats, and business experts and content that will motivate and inspire you? If not, come on. Hit the subscribe button and commit. Below is your chance to level up and learn every single week. I'll see you in there.